Today we are going to discuss infections in pregnancy. Three infections we will discuss in pregnancy: chickenpox in pregnancy, GTG number 13, herpes in pregnancy, genital herpes in pregnancy, and the GBS um, with early onset of neonatal infection. Okay. So, chickenpox in pregnancy was guideline which was launched in 2015. First of all, we will learn about a little bit introduction of chickenpox. Okay, what is chickenpox? It is caused by varicella zoster virus, and it is a DNA virus, right? And it's basically it is spread by respiratory droplets. There are two methods of spread: respiratory droplets and direct personal contact with vesical fluids, or indirectly via fomites, right? And like most of the viral infections present like fever, flu-like illness, malaise, rashes, but particular to it, it has a maculopapular pruritic rash. It is very pruritic, and there are water-filled vesicles. And it is a typical characteristics of varicella zoster virus or chickenpox. It has an incubation period of 1 to 3 weeks. It's important to write the incubation periods of all infections so that at the end of the near the exam you can revise all of them. Okay, incubation period is 1 to 3 weeks, and the very important is infectious period, which starts 48 hours before symptoms till the vesicle crust, and it takes almost 5 days to crust vesicle. So it starts 2 days before the appearance of symptoms and 5 days afterwards, a total of 7 days period. So now we move ahead on the second slide. Before going to the treatment of chickenpox in pregnancy, we will see how can we prevent varicella infection in pregnancy. Okay, previously varicella zoster virus, yeah, sorry, it was rubella. Varicella zoster virus prevention routine antenatal screening is not recommended in UK. Okay, pre-pregnancy and postpartum vaccination can be given if you get to know that the patient has not been vaccinated or is not immune, because 90% of the women in UK are seropositive for varicella. And its vaccine is live attenuated vaccine, which is given 2 doses 4 to 8 weeks apart. Okay, so but it, because all of the live vaccines cannot be given in pregnancy, so it is important to wait for pregnancy for at least 4 weeks after the completion of the vaccination. It is a characteristic of varicella zoster virus that it remains dormant in the sensory nerve root ganglia. Okay, and following primary infection, sometimes it can reactivate, which leads to a skin rash and pain along that particular nerve, uh, vesicular erythematous skin rash in a dermatological distribution. Okay, so but most of the time the shingles cannot be spread. There is a greater virus shedding in 3 cases: risk of infection, greater because of greater virus shedding, and greater virus shedding occurs in immunocompromised patients, disseminated zoster, or exposed zoster. Otherwise, simple varicella zoster virus spread, but shingles cannot spread except in, remember 3 points: if the patient is immunocompromised, it can spread the infection. If the varicella zoster virus is disseminated, and in most of the immunocompromised patients, every infection is disseminated, or if it the exposed zoster, like it's in ophthalmic region, it can be spread. But if it is not exposed, like in back of the patient or shoulders which are not exposed, it cannot be spread. So in which cases shingle can be spread? We can also so what are the
Okay, it's
patients
visible.
which can spread infection from shingles? Can anybody tell me?
Exposed lesions,
Yeah.
disseminated infection, or
Yes.
immunocompromised.
Exactly. Okay, good. So, in all the infection guidelines, the most important thing is the algorithms. You have to learn it by heart. Okay. So, because most of the MCQs comes from these algorithms, there are very less points in the guidelines other than algorithms, which are important. I have summarized at the end of the guideline, but first of all, we will discuss the algorithm. Okay. So in chicken pox, first of all, see, Varicella zoster contact. Clarify significance of contact. We will study later what is the significant contact. First, assume if the patient or the pregnant woman has a significant contact, the first case of varicella zoster. What will we do? First of all, we will ask about the past history of chickenpox. If patient gives history that she has a chickenpox in childhood or any other age group, then no action is needed. Reassure and return to normal antenatal care, because as we have discussed, 90% of the women in UK are immune to varicella zoster virus. But on the other hand, if she gives history that she has not remembered whether she was has chickenpox earlier or not, or the woman is from tropical or subtropical country. Why from tropical or subtropical country? Because from these countries the women are mostly non immune to varicella zoster virus. Then what we will do? We will check her blood for varicella zoster virus, IgG. Okay, so IgG will tell us whether the patient is immune or not immune. Again, if the IgG is present, then no action need to be taken. Reassure her, because once a virus has infected the patient, there is no chance it can again infect her. But on the other hand, if varicella zoster virus antibody is not present, then we have to take some measures. Okay, so then what will we do? Varicella zoster virus and IgG not present, it means that the patient is at risk of having varicella zoster virus infection. So, what is this? Okay. So, what we will do then? Look in this table. Uh, if the patient gives a history that the contact was less than 10 days back, for example, the contact was 3 days back or 4 days back or 5 days back, then we will give her varicella zoster virus immunoglobulins, which will protect her from further infection. Give varicella zoster virus immunoglobulin if less than 10 days since contact, or for continuous exposure less than 10 days since the appearance of the rash in the index days. It means that, for example, two persons are living in the same room and they have a continuous contact, or if they are partners, or one of the child of the women has varicella zoster virus and he or she remains with her, then it is a continuous contact. Then we will see the that partner or that child when the rash has started in the partner. And if it is less than 10 days, then we can give immunoglobulins. But if it is more than 10 days, then there is no use of giving immunoglobulins. While we have given the immunoglobulins, still the patient is infectious from 8 to 28 days after the contact. And if we have not given immunoglobulins, then the patient is infectious from 8 to 21 days. Okay, given immunoglobulin 8 to 28 days, not given immunoglobulins 8 to 21 days. Am I clear? Up till now, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it is very important to understand. If you don't understand, kindly ask me here. Okay,
Bazika me asta kanet.
okay. So and then we
Takwa, I
will
have a question. Can I interrupt
yes,
here?
yes, please.
My question is, can you please clarify why after giving immunoglobulin the infection period is longer than if the immunoglobulin has not been given? It is
Because
28 days after treatment has
yeah,
been given,
yeah,
and it is
because
less. Yeah.
yeah, because when we give immunoglobulin, it delays the women of having infection. It has to complete her virus has to complete its cycle till 21 days. Okay, but if we give immunoglobulins, maybe the potential infections start after the effect of immunoglobulin after 1 week. Then it will prolong till 28 days.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, okay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Okay. So, but on the other hand, if we have given immunoglobulin, still the patient infects virus, contracts virus, because sometimes it may not be effective, or from the very start patient comes with you with the history of having chicken pox. Okay, then what will they do? First of all, in UK, as I think we have discussed in the previous session, every woman first of all comes to GP or midwife, then the GP refers to hospital if needed. Okay, so the first contact of the patient with the GP, and he will advise her to avoid contact with potentially susceptible individuals like pregnant women and neonates. Always these are susceptible or compromised individuals. Symptomatic treatment and hygiene measures will be told to her. If the patient is less than more than 20 weeks of pregnant and less than 24 hours have passed since the appearance of the rash, then we can prescribe acyclovir. Okay, there is a difference between prescribing acyclovir and considering acyclovir. Prescribe means there is no danger, we can give freely, but the consider mean we will keep in mind the other risk factors, whole of the condition of the patient, and discuss the patient with our consultant or MDT. Then if needed we will prescribe the acyclovir, not necessarily. See, and the third point, it says that if the woman presents less than 24 hours of the appearance of the rash and she is 20 weeks, more than 20 weeks of gestation, prescribe acyclovir. But if the patient presents less than 24 hours the appearance of the rash, but she is also less than 20 weeks of the gestation, consider acyclovir. It is not necessary. Though acyclovir is not teratogenic, but still it is not a licensed drug in pregnancy. Okay. So in UK, if you prescribe a drug to the patient which is not licensed in pregnancy, you will tell the patient that it is not licensed in the pregnancy, though it is safe in pregnancy. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So, and the other very important point is avoid delivery of the baby
Ma'am,
until at
I had a
least, yes,
question. I have
yes,
a
yes,
question.
please.
Ma'am, if the
Yes, please.
patient present after 24 weeks of appearance of rash, then what should we
24
do?
hours. 24
After
hours.
24 hours. After 24 hours.
Actually, it will, the acyclovir will not be affected after 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay, that's why it's no use of giving acyclovir after 24 hours. Before 24 hours, virus are not so spread in the body that it can be controlled with acyclovir. Okay, so
Okay, ma'am.
avoid delivery of the baby until at least 7 days since the rash appeared. Anybody can tell me why is it so? Why to wait for 7 days?
A passive immunity or mother's passive
Yes,
immunity can
yes,
be transferred to
exactly.
baby.
Yes, very good, exactly. The antibodies against every virus, you know, antibodies formed. Okay, so in the 7 days interval is the time when antibodies will be formed and it will passively pass to the baby. So it will protect the baby against the infection. Very good. So what if a severe infection occurs? So what will we do? So if women who develop severe infection, we will discuss later on that which women at high risk of developing severe infection, okay, and what is a complicated chickenpox. But if develops in hospital setting, if there is a severe infection or disseminated infection, then we need to give intravenous acyclovir. And then if the infection is at less than 28 weeks of gestation, okay, you need to remember 28 weeks in chickenpox. Write it down, 28 weeks chickenpox, okay, because 28 weeks is the cutoff point. Before 28 weeks there is a risk of having, very small risk though, having fetal varicella infection, but after 28 weeks there is no risk of having fetal varicella infection. So chickenpox 28 weeks, chickenpox 28 weeks, remember it. Okay, so inform women that infection at less than 28 weeks is associated with a very small risk, approximately 1% of fetal varicella syndrome. If a patient is less than 28 weeks and she contracts chicken pox, then what will we do? We will send the patient to fetal medicine specialist to check for fetal varicella syndrome. So when we will send the patient to fetal medicine center? In UK, most of the anomaly scans are done at fetal medicine specialist, especially if it's a high risk pregnancy, like if patient has taken some teratogenic drug and virus infected, previous history of anomalies, okay, then level 3 scan is done at fetal medicine unit. So this scan will be done either at the 16 to 20 weeks. You know, 20 at 20 weeks we usually do anomaly scan. So take from a period of 4 weeks, 16 to 20 weeks, or 5 weeks after infection. Anyone can tell me why 5 weeks after infection?
To see the changes
Because
um,
anomaly changes comes
occurring
after
anomalies.
5 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the changes after chickenpox comes after 5 weeks or by 16 or 20 weeks, because it is the time when most of the anomalies can be picked. Okay, 16 to 20 weeks or 5 weeks after infection. And if on ultrasound we detect and we have some suspicion that a baby can have fetal varicella syndrome, then we need to do amniocentesis to detect varicella DNA. Okay, if the anomalies are not very clear and it is only a suspicion, that before termination of pregnancy, it is very crucial to confirm the diagnosis by amniocentesis. Okay, up till now, anyone has any question? We are going to discuss these points in detail later on, but up till now, anyone has any question, please ask me here, because it is a
Can you
very
repeat
important
the
point.
fetal diagnosis? Can you repeat the
Yes,
ultrasound and amniocentesis? Is the
yes, yes.
amniocentesis is more important or ultrasound is more important?
It is ultrasound is necessary if, right, look here, refer to fetal medicine specialist and consider. I told you that there is a difference between referring and considering. Considering mean it is not necessary, we will weigh the benefits and risks. Okay, but refer mean you have to refer if the patient is less than 28 weeks and she's a diagnosed case of chickenpox or varicella zoster virus, then we will send the patient for to fetal medicine specialist. Okay, but amniocentesis is not necessary. We will weigh the benefits and risks. Am I clear?
Dr. Takwa, I have a question.
Yes,
If the risk of fetal varicella syndrome, like you said, is less than 1% if it occurs
yes,
before 28
yes,
weeks, then
yes.
why is it so important to send the patient at 16 to 20 weeks to fetal medical
Very good
specialist?
question. Very good question. Do you know what
Can you
are
answer
the fetal varicella? What happens in fetal varicella syndrome?
Limb hypoplasia, skin
Mm-hmm.
scarring, eye defects.
Yes, and
Mm,
This is because
Microcephaly, hydrocephalus.
yes,
anomalies are
yes,
so disastrous.
yes, yes. These are very disastrous anomalies. Okay, we are not going to terminate the pregnancy. We are only going to check if the woman has fetal varicella syndrome or not. Okay, because
okay.
if the patient, and there are some neurological abnormality, we are basically concerned about neurological abnormality which has a high morbidity and mortality. Even if it is less than 1%, we are not going to terminate every woman who have a chickenpox pregnancy. We are only going to diagnose. If it is fetal varicella syndrome, then we may need to terminate. Even then, if we have a suspicion, we can go for amniocentesis. That is why they say that first anomaly scan and then amniocentesis. Then we will take decision after discussing with the women.
Ma'am, the anomaly scan tells us there are no abnormalities, or even if it does tell us that yes, there is a significant anomaly, structural anomaly in the fetus, then what is the significance of doing amniocentesis?
Amniocentesis
Her
will
blood
be
has
done.
been checked. She is IgG positive or IgM positive. We know she has chickenpox. And there
We are
is
doing,
either
yeah,
what is the purpose of amniocentesis? What
we are
is
doing
the benefit of
amniocentesis.
doing varicella DNA, finding out if the DNA is there or not?
It is
Amniocentesis. We
only
are doing
aid to the
amniocentesis for
diagnosis.
baby. We are doing amniocentesis for the baby. We are not doing it for the mother. We check antibodies in the mother. How can we check antibodies in the baby? What will be the procedure? How we will know that the baby has the infection or not?
Ma'am, photosynthesis we will do.
Why to go for chordosynthesis? What is more, which has more miscarriage rate?
Chordosynthesis.
Why to, if we can diagnose a condition by a less complicated procedure, then why to go for a more complicated procedure? Okay, please don't make it complicated. Amniocentesis, why we go for amniocentesis is for the baby, because we do not want to have undue termination, or we do not want to have a anomalous baby to grow in the womb of the mother. So that's
Ultrasound is
me.
also for the baby. We can do
Listen,
ultrasound is
listen.
also.
I think I am not clear enough. Listen carefully. First of all, imagine a woman comes. Imagine this scenario: a woman comes to you at 24 weeks of gestation with confirmed chickenpox of pregnancy. Okay, it is clear up till now. Up till now, at 24 weeks with confirmed chickenpox infection, right? Right.
Right, ma'am?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Then, but what will we do? Then we have to rule out fetal varicella infection with fetal varicella syndrome. Okay. And then what will we do to rule out fetal varicella syndrome?
We will do scan after
Anomaly
5
scan.
weeks to see any
Yes.
changes.
Yeah.
And when will we do ultrasound?
After 5 weeks.
After
5.
5 weeks. So it means the patient was at 24 weeks, and now at what weeks we will do ultrasound?
29 weeks.
29 weeks.
Exactly, at 29 weeks. At 29 weeks, we have done the ultrasound, and ultrasound features are suggestive of a only microcephaly and no other features, or maybe one or two only microcephaly or no other features, right? Or a single feature like only limb hypoplasia and nothing else. Then, and the patient wants to know that, tell me, should I go for termination or not? Then what will you tell her?
We will advise her amniocentesis to see
Yes,
varicella zoster DNA. If they
exactly.
are present, then
She can go for termination of the
termination.
pregnancy, right? We will give the patient the options. But on the other hand, if the same scenario and you are going for anomaly scan, and anomaly scan shows limb hypoplasia and microcephaly or hydrocephalus or other anomalies of fetal varicella syndrome, then what will you do? What will you tell the patient?
No need for amniocentesis. We will directly terminate the pregnancy.
Yes,
Termination.
because yes, diagnosis is clear cut. Okay, so amniocentesis is not, you will not offer, you can consider if needed. It is not necessary. In the exam, the scenario can come like this. They will give only if a single factor or a mild suspicion, or even they can say the sonologist have a suspicion of fetal varicella syndrome, but he is or she is not sure of it. Then how will you proceed? Then in the options you will go for amniocentesis. But if the scenario says that there are features of fetal varicella syndrome, then you will not go for amniocentesis. That's why it is written considered.
Okay.
Okay?
So, ma'am, I have one question.
Yes. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So I want to ask. Suppose she gets the infection at 18 weeks, right? So
Yes.
we will get an anomaly scan done, let's say. So should we do another second scan like after 5 weeks of 18 weeks?
If her anomaly scan has been done previously, then definitely you are going to again check, because now you are specifically looking for fetal varicella. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So now it's my time to ask you question. Okay. Right. Tell me in which conditions you will refer the patient to hospital.
Severe chickenpox suspected,
Yes.
and
Yes.
and if she is
High
suspected
risk
of
patient.
high risk
High risk patient. Very good. And now tell me that for how long after infection you can give immunoglobulins?
10 days.
10 days.
Within 10 days.
Within 10 days.
Within 10 days. Okay, okay. And tell me that if a patient comes after 20 weeks, then and less than 24 hours, which antiviral will you give to patient?
Acyclovir.
Cyclovir.
Cyclovir.
Acyclovir. Very good. Okay, very good. Very good. Excellent. Okay. So in this scenario, we have read, yes, Aska, Cyclovir, Dr. Kurad, Madiha. Very good, all of you. Acyclovir. Okay. So remember in the start of the scenario we read that if a significant contact. Okay. So we need to define what is a significant contact. Okay. Significant contact is if the woman is in the same room for 15 minutes or more, or she has a face-to-face contact or contact in the setting of the large open ward. For example, like in our countries is a large open ward and one patient is laying in bed number 1, other is 4, and they are laying like this here, then there is a risk of infection because patients are moving here and there, and she is at high risk of having infection. Okay. In the same room for 15 minutes or more, face-to-face contact or contact in the setting of a large open ward. Okay, so what is the significant contact? Who will
In
tell
this
me what is the
same,
For 15 days.
in the same room for 15 minutes or more,
Minutes.
face-to-face contact and
Yes.
contact in the setting of large ward.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay. So, what is varicella zoster immunoglobulins? Immunoglobulins are usually from non-UK donors, which have a high varicella zoster virus antibody titer. So, the only point of telling you this from non-UK donors that sometimes it may be deficient and supplies are limited and a patient may not get it. Okay. So, like every drug, it has its side effects. What are the side effects? Pain, erythema. Whenever you give an injection, remember pain and erythema at the injection site. Always there is a side effect of pain and erythema at the injection site. It could cause anaphylaxis, but in less than 0.1% patients. Okay. And so there are 3 side effects: pain, erythema at injection site, and anaphylaxis less than 0.1%. There are some patients in which we don't need to give immunoglobulins if they become in contact with chickenpox patient. The patients with hypogammaglobulinemia with immunoglobulins A antibodies who are already receiving replacement therapy, because these patients are already taking immunoglobulins. So they are not they need not to be taken again, because if you give them, it can end up in anaphylactic reaction. Okay. So what are the side effects of immunoglobulins?
Pain, erythema,
Yes.
Pain,
Anaphylaxis.
erythema, anaphylaxis.
And what is the risk of having anaphylaxis?
less than
Less than
0.1%. 0.1%.
Less than 0.1%. Okay. So what are the maternal risks of having chicken pox? Pneumonia, hepatitis.
10%. 10% pneumonia.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Who are you? Okay. Very good. So pneumonia,
I'm not
hepatitis. Okay, okay, very good. Because I don't know why names are not coming here when anyone speaks. Okay, so pneumonia, hepatitis, encephalitis are rarely death. Usually, these side effects does not come in a normal adult patient. Okay, they only come in a immunocompromised patient or the pregnant patient. So that's why we are so much concerned about chickenpox in pregnancy, because the women are at greater risk of having pneumonia, hepatitis, encephalitis, and rarely death. Okay. And what are the fetal risks? We discussed fetal varicella syndrome. So now we will see why is it important to rule out fetal varicella syndrome, because it causes skin scarring, neurological abnormalities, microcephaly, cortical atrophy, mental retardation, or dysfunction of bowel and bladder sphincters. See, the mental retardation, dysfunction of bowel and bladder, it cannot be detected on ultrasound. It can only be detected by amniocentesis. If the patient has the baby has a varicella, then these abnormalities can come. Eye defects, microphthalmia, chorioretinitis, or cataracts, and hypoplasia of the limbs. These are 4 side effects. You need to remember only the major names: skin scarring, neurological abnormalities, eye defects, and hypoplasia of the limbs. In exam, if you only remember these 4 points, the scenario will be very clear to you. Okay. Okay. So why fetal varicella syndrome occurs? Because of the subsequent herpes zoster reactivation in utero. Once the fetus has acquired the infection, and it can again reactivate. It is not due to primary infection, it's due to reactivation. That's why we do usually after 5 weeks, the ultrasound after 5 weeks. So amniocentesis has a strong negative predictive value, but poor, sorry, it has to be written poor positive predictive value. So negative predictive value, what does it mean, that negative predictive value? Strong
If the
negative predictive
amniocentesis, if the amniocentesis doesn't detect the DNA virus,
Yes.
then it may not be present.
Yes, very good, very good. That's why we are going for it. Let me correct it. Poor positive predictive value. Okay. So, and it should only be performed when the skin lesions have healed. Okay. So there could be crusts, but when they have healed, then you will perform. Otherwise, you will introduce the infection into the fetus. Okay. So what are the side effects? Only major names. Fetal side effects, fetal varicella syndrome complications.
Skin nail,
Skin
skin
scarring,
neurological,
hematopoiesia,
Neurological defect,
RES,
neurological and eye lesion.
Okay.
eye defect.
Okay. Okay. So now we will discuss the neonatal risk. That first of all we will discuss maternal risk, then we discuss fetal risk, and then we are discussing neonatal risks. What is a neonate?
Ma'am, neonate
Yes, yes, ma'am.
baby that is born
neonates is
Newborn
a
up to
28,
28 days.
28 days
Yes,
born baby.
yes, yes,
28 days born baby.
yes, yes, right. 28 days born. Okay. So what are the neonatal risks? Previously, we in the algorithm we studied that for 7 days, delivery should be at least 7 days after the infection to make sure that antibodies have passed to the baby. So if the maternal infection is in last 4 weeks, particularly 7 weeks,
Risk
like in
is
the last,
2%. 2%.
yeah, yes, yes, okay. So if maternal infection is in the last 4 weeks of the pregnancy, then there is a high chance of having neonatal varicella. So in not only in chickenpox, but in every infection, you need to inform the neonatologist beforehand that the patient has certain infection, viral infection in the pregnancy. Okay, the women with chickenpox should breastfeed. Active chickenpox lesions, if there are active chickenpox lesions close to the nipple, then it's better to express the breast milk. Otherwise, if the baby takes breastfeed as such, the baby can take the vesical fluid or can contract the infection. Okay, so the most what are the routes of infection? First of all is transplacental, ascending vaginal, okay, like during delivery, or from result from direct contact with lesions during and after delivery. During delivery, the baby can, vaginal delivery, baby can be in direct contact, or after delivery, if the mother holds the baby, then the again baby can have the lesions. Okay, so 3 routes: transplacental, ascending vaginal, and direct contact for lesions. So if the maternal infection occurs 1 to 4 weeks before delivery, up to 50% of the baby are infected. These, we are talking about neonatal infection. Okay, despite high titer of antibodies, 1 to 4 weeks. In 1 to 4 weeks, 50% of the babies are infected. So now the treatment.
Can you repeat this? 1 to 4 weeks, 50%. Can you repeat this?
50%, if the delivery occurs in 1 to 4 weeks of the infection, right, then 50% of the babies may be infected. 50% of the babies can have neonatal varicella.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So what are the treatment options? If we have discussed what antiviral we have discussed previously in the algorithm,
Acyclovir.
acyclovir. So you need, okay, so you need to remember the dose because the dose is different for chickenpox, and we will discuss later on genital herpes in pregnancy. The dose is different in both of the infections. So in chickenpox, it is 800 milligrams 5 times a day. Okay, and indications for hospital referral we've discussed previously. either could be potentially life-threatening chickenpox or a high-risk woman. And what is potentially life-threatening chickenpox? Respiratory symptoms, patient is having like shortness of breath, and neurological symptoms, for example, photophobia, seizures or drowsiness, hemorrhagic rash or bleeding, and a dense rash. Two are related to the rash and two are related to the systems. Hemorrhagic rash or bleeding and dense rash with or without mucosal lesions, and two are associated with the symptoms, systems like respiratory system and neurological system. Okay, two systems, two rash. And the other is high risk women, which we need to refer to hospital for assessment. What are the high risk women? Because it is a
Respiratory.
yes, because it is a spread by respiratory droplets. Basically, it affects the respiratory system. So, if a woman smokes cigarettes and has chronic lung disease, okay, or every woman who is immunocompromised is at risk of every infection. So, every immunocompromised woman is high risk woman. Okay, high risk immunocompromised and the second half of the pregnancy after 20 weeks, because after 20 weeks there is a more chance of having pneumonia. So all of the high risk conditions are related to lungs. Cigarette smoking, chronic lung disease, immunocompromise, including those who have taken systemic corticosteroids in the preceding 3 months. Corticosteroids also cause immunosuppression and the second half of the pregnancy. Okay. So what are the potential life-threatening conditions of chickenpox?
Respiratory problems, neurological problems,
Yes.
and to dense rash
and
and
dense rash.
Okay.
And
And
hemorrhagic
hemorrhagic rash. Okay. And what are the high-risk women?
High risk women are cigarette smoking, chronic lung disease,
Cigarette smoking.
and immunocompromised on steroid therapy.
and in second
Oh.
half of pregnancy.
Okay, okay, very good. Second half of pregnancy, right? By second half of pregnancy,
There is more risk of pneumonia.
After 20 weeks, there are more risk
yes,
of pneumonia.
yes, yes. Okay. So, what will be our mode of delivery? Does chickenpox affect mode of delivery?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So, which infection affects mode of delivery?
Herpes.
Herpes.
primary genital
Herpes or
herpes.
HIV.
Very
Herpes
good.
and HIV.
Genital herpes or
Yes.
HIV.
Yes, yes, exactly. Very good. Okay. So we will individualize the timing and mode of delivery. We can give regional analgesia inside free of cutaneous lesions. Okay. So what are the risks of delivery during viremic period? We have already studied about the risk to the neonate. What are the maternal risks? There are also maternal risks. If the woman is in viremic period and she delivers a baby, the maternal risks are maternal hemorrhage or coagulopathy. Okay, because it can cause hepatitis, thrombocytopenia. Chickenpox can cause hepatitis and thrombocytopenia, so it can lead to maternal hemorrhage or coagulopathy. So we not only have neonatal risks if the patient is infectious at that time, we also have maternal risks. Okay, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, anybody has any question or we should revise it?
No question.
Okay, so we are going to revise. Yes, Nina, it's herpes and HIV. Okay, so what is the incubation period of chicken pox?
1 to 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Okay. So what is the infectious
14
period
to
of chicken pox?
48 hours before
and 5 days before.
5 days after.
2
Yes.
into 5.
Okay. Avoid pregnancy for how many weeks after vaccination?
3
4
months.
weeks. 4 weeks.
4 weeks. And why is it so? Why why need to prevent pregnancy?
Because it's a live attenuated.
It's a live vaccine.
Attenuated yes, it's a live attenuated vaccine. Okay. Varicella zoster immunoglobulins can be given up to 7 days after exposure. True or false?
False.
True.
Why?
False. 10 days.
Can be given up to 10 days.
after.
So it cannot be given up to 7 days.
Yes, can be given.
It can be
Can
given
be
given 7
So
days.
it is true or
But
false?
this is true. This is true.
It is
True. True.
Yes.
True, true.
Yes. Okay. So, non-immune pregnant women who have been exposed to chicken pox should be managed as potentially infectious from 8 to 21 days after exposure if they receive varicella zoster immunoglobulin.
False.
True or
False.
What
False.
is the true answer?
8 to 28
It's
days.
true.
8 to 28 days after
Yes,
receiving
to 28 days is
immunoglobulin.
true. Okay. 8 to 21 days if we have not
Yeah,
given
28
varicella
days.
zoster virus immunoglobulins. Okay. All women having chicken pox should be referred to hospital. True or false?
No. No.
No.
False.
Why not?
False.
Why false? Why we should
Only
not
high
refer?
risk,
High risk patients
high
should be
risk
referred
patients
to
should be
the
referred.
Those
Yes,
having
because they can.
disseminated infection, those having a disseminated infection or severe infection or
Yes,
complicated.
and they can also give the infection to other pregnant women. Okay, right. So, fetal risk of having fetal varicella syndrome before 28 weeks is
Less than
1%.
Less than 1%.
less than 1%.
1%.
approximately 1%. Okay, very good. So, anything you want? Yes, anything you want to ask about chickenpox in pregnancy?
What
Then we
about
will
the fetal
start.
risk after 28 weeks? What is the percent?
Fetal risk, there is no risk of having fetal varicella syndrome after 28 weeks.
After 28 weeks.
What
Yes.
is the risk of a fetal neonatal varicella syndrome?
We have discussed
Is
it.
it
You tell me
2% or
what is the risk?
50%? 2%.
In GTG, it's written 50%. From 1 to 4 weeks, it's written 50%.
Okay.
From where have you read 2%?
I think in Oxford.
Okay. Kindly
2%
try to
maybe
follow
after
only.
4 weeks.
Yeah, it could be. Try to only memorize the things which are in the GTG. Okay. Don't waste your stamina, energy, or other things. They will. I have repeatedly told you they will not ask anything outside of their guidelines. Okay. Maybe if they are present in talk article, they can ask, or in the scientific impact paper. But most of the questions come from GTG, 70 to 80%. So focus on GTG. GTG, NICE guideline, BIVA guideline, BASH guidelines, all guidelines they have mentioned.